Alright, so this year we launched a new product that's generated $869,000 in sales over the last 7 months and is on track to do over $1 million by the 12-month mark. Now, these numbers are pretty insane, at least for me, and back when I had a day job earning $50K a year working as a doctor in the UK, I never would have imagined that it would even be vaguely possible for me to build a business that does these sorts of numbers at all, let alone with a single product. So this video is going to be a very long, very chatty, behind-the-scenes look at how my team and I built this product completely from scratch. We're going to talk about the concept, the name, the audience validation, the designs, the process of creating the educational material, and we'll also talk about the challenges, the emotional roller coaster of building a product and running a business, the fact that my vision for the product, the team's giving me negative feedback, the audience is giving me negative feedback about the thing, the fact that we've had a load of refund requests from customers who did not get value from the product, and how all of that stuff feels and how I as an entrepreneur and me as my team deal with that sort of thing. If you're interested in maybe starting your own business someday, or you already have a business, then I'm hoping a video like this will give you a little bit more context into what the process for creating and selling a product from idea to execution actually looks like. Now, of course, everyone's process for building products is going to be different, but when I started my own entrepreneurial journey, I always got a lot of inspiration and even practical tips from seeing how different businesses make different types of products, and that really helped me on my own journey from broke medical student to doctor to now 7-figure entrepreneur. And so this video is a special behind-the-scenes episode of Business Class, the ongoing series where we explore strategies to start and to grow your online business so that you can work towards what I call the 5 Fs of fun, fulfillment, flexibility, and financial freedom. If we haven't yet met, hello, my name is Ali and I've been doing this online business thing for the last 10 plus years. I built and sold my first 6-figure business while I was a medical student at Cambridge. I built my next business to 6 figures while working full-time as a doctor, and a few years ago I was able to then quit the day job to focus on building the business, which now generates 7 figures a year in profit. In this series, my goal is to share everything I've learned and everything I'm continuing to learn along the way. So if that sounds interesting, you might consider subscribing to the channel and perhaps even joining my free email list, where I share even more behind-the-scenes stuff that can hopefully help you in your own journey. Now, this is a very long video that I filmed across 2 days, so let's get into it. All right, so the whole thing started in October of 2023 when Gareth, one of my team members, was doing some research, some market research into figuring out what should we do with a productivity course. Now, why do we want to release a productivity course? Well, our business is kind of weird in that, the thing that I seem to be known for is productivity. My book is about productivity. Productivity is like the thing, which is, it's a cool word to be associated with. A bit of a tangent. This whole video is going to be lots and lots of tangents, so whatevs. There's a fun little game that I got from my friends Dickie Bush and Nicholas Cole, which is that, have you heard of Ryan Holiday? If you've heard of Ryan Holiday, what is the one word you most associate with Ryan Holiday? It's probably the word stoicism. He's written a bunch of books about stoicism. It's the word. Have you heard of Mark Manson? What is the one word you associate with Mark Manson? It's probably not the word subtle. It's probably a different word. Have you heard of James Clear? Of course you've heard of James Clear. What is the one word you associate with James Clear? I don't even need to say what that word is. It's obvious what the one word that most people associate with James Clear is. Now, if you hear the name Ali Abdaal, what is the one word that you associate with the name Ali Abdaal? For most people would say that word is productivity. Now, that is actually a very good word to be associated with because this sort of brand association with productivity is like a high, it's evergreen. People are always interested in being more productive. It is like, it's got longevity to it in the sense of, let's say back at 2017, if someone was watching my YouTube channel and they were seeing videos about how to get into med school, if someone was describing Ali Abdaal, they would be like, oh, he's that YouTuber that helps people get into med school. Now, that is not a good place to be for the long term because obviously YouTuber who helps people get into med school doesn't really have longevity. It's not a brand association that can last forever. Similarly, if you look back to the channel in 2018, it's like, who is Ali Abdaal? Oh, he's that guy who gives studying advice, helps people study for exams. That is also not a good sort of longevity play here because one thing I often used to think about and still do is, what does the 10, 20, 30 year version of this internet thought leader, online, blah, 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 entrepreneur career look like? And I don't think it goes anywhere if you're stuck in the student market because you age out of the student market very quickly. I don't think it goes many places if you're stuck helping people get into med school because you age out of it quickly. I also kind of think that lifestyle brands also don't have much longevity because trends come and go. And so a big thing when I started my YouTube channel was really trying to figure out what does the long-term trajectory of this look like? Where are we trying to go here? And when I landed on the word productivity, I think I just randomly made a video 50 videos in called My Productivity Desk Setup. And that went really well, and people vibed with the word productivity. And I didn't think about it consciously at the time, like that, like, oh, this is a good word. But then people just kept on asking, like, how are you so productive? How are you so productive? How are you so productive? And then I started sort of leaning into this word productivity, you know, apps for productivity, tech for productivity, my insanely productive Valentine's Day, my insanely productive birthday, my insanely productive day in the life. And it kind of became a bit of a meme. You know, a few years into my channel, I realized that, like, I'm the productivity guy. And actually, that is a very good place to be. It's a good place to be the productivity guy. So why am I saying all this? The reason I'm saying all this is because our business is weird, because even though I'm the productivity guy, I have never really had a product about productivity other than my book, which came out last year. By the way, if you haven't read my book, you should. Feel Good Productivity, a guide to how to do more of what matters to you without burning out. Now, back in 2020, I had just quit my job as a doctor, and I had the idea randomly for a course on helping people start YouTube channels, because I was like, people keep asking about it. And the Part-Time YouTuber Academy, which was what that course was, ended up becoming like a massive thing. Like, we did, I don't know, $300,000 in sales for the first cohort, which is more money than I'd ever seen in my life. My doctor salary was like $50,000. And so I made more money in like a week than I would have in 6 years working as a doctor. And that was just like, blew my mind. Then in 2021, during the pandemic, we had even more of a boom. Thanks to the pandemic boom in live cohorts, our YouTuber Academy basically helped take the business from like $1 million a year to like $4 million a year in revenue, which was just like a massive jump. We 4x'd the business as a result of the pandemic. And then the YouTuber Academy sort of became this sort of main thing in the business. Like, even though I was known as the productivity guy and most of my content was about productivity and personal development and not about YouTube, YouTuber Academy was our primary product, which is kind of weird, right? Like, it was a bit of a weird place to be. And so for years, we've been thinking internally that, all right, we need to build a productivity product. It just makes sense, right? We've got the book, great. Book is a nice $20, $15, whatever thing, cool. We should probably make a course about productivity, and we are in fact working on a course about productivity. But then as Gareth was doing the market research for this course about productivity, he landed on this idea of community. This was late 2023. And community seems to be all the craze. And also community seems to add a lot of value to people. This was around the time where school was starting to take off. Circle was a community platform. Mighty Networks is a community platform. A lot of people are doing this, you know, moving away from courses and moving more into community. And so Gareth made the case to me and to the rest of the team that, hey, sure, let's build a $300 productivity course, but let's also attach it to some sort of productivity community. I was like, okay, that's interesting. That is where the idea started of this product, and this product was initially called Productivity Club. And Gareth did a little bit of kind of market research on this. We went on, this is a cool site. So Circle is the platform that we use for all of our community stuff. Now, one particularly important part of growing my business has been using great software and finding ways to automate things, which is where Make comes in, the sponsor of today's video. Make is an incredibly versatile automation tool that connects everything from tasks and workflows to apps and systems, allowing you to build and automate pretty much anything you need in one powerful visual platform. One of the key things we currently use Make for is automating all of the different parts of our social media workflow. So basically, by connecting our apps with Notion, where we organize our content, we're able to pull in data from the various social platforms and visualize all of our analytics in one place, which gives us a clear overview without any manual input. So every day we've got a scheduled scenario running in Make that connects Instagram with Notion using Apify's Instagram scraper. The scraper collects up-to-date performance metrics for all the reels that we've posted over the last week, including our key stats like views and reach and engagement. And these metrics, which are not easily accessible through Instagram's standard API, those then get automatically imported into our Notion database. Another thing that we're using Make for is that we love turning these YouTube videos into written content for social media and for my website and LinkedIn and stuff. And so Make basically lets us connect to Notion and ChatGPT to take a transcript from these YouTube videos and generate a new Notion card with a nicely written version of the YouTube video. And all of this happens 100% automatically, which wouldn't be possible without Make. All of this has saved me and my team a lot of time, which we can then redirect towards actually creating content or focusing on growing the business, which is ultimately way more valuable than doing these manual tasks. So if any of that sounds interesting, you can start using Make for free with their 1-month pro plan, which includes 10,000 operations. Just check out the link in the video description to sign up, and you can have a look at what kind of fun automations you can build. So thank you, Make, for sponsoring this video. For various reasons, we decided to use Circle rather than School, rather than Mighty Networks. Had a couple of chats with Sam Ovens, nice guy. Had a couple of chats with Gina, who's the CEO of Mighty Networks. Great gal. But for various reasons, we decided to go with Circle. We've been with Circle since day one. So actually, if you're building a community product, I actually would recommend Circle. They're not paying me to say this, even though Circle, if you're watching this, you should pay us to say this. Circle has this community showcase where you can see a bunch of different communities that have been built on Circle. And so we just kind of went through a bunch of these and did a bit of market research to see, like, all right, you know, let's say we were to build some sort of productivity community, what might it look like? So we've got some like screenshots. We've got this like, you know, top coach community, and it's like, okay, it's interesting. We've got this show up society community. It's like, okay, it's interesting. We've got this Forge agency community thing, and that's kind of interesting. So this is Gareth doing the competitors analysis, where we're sort of looking at like, okay, what other productivity communities are out there? Always generally useful to see. We thought about pricing. It's like, okay, should we do it as a low ticket thing? Should we do it as a mid ticket thing or as a high ticket thing? The Action Academy Clubhouse, online space for productivity enthusiasts. I'm sure this was helped generate with ChatGPT. And we were just sort of playing around with various different like back and forth for what could this productivity community look like. And then as you can see here, we've got various team members sort of commenting on this sort of stuff, like the more that we can make the community feel fun, gamify, the better it'll be, like flares or price challenges or weekly productivity exercises. I want it to feel like we're doing everything we can to help people crush their goals regardless of who they are and what their goal is. Help people set targets, be ruthlessly accountable, and overcome any obstacles along the way. This is a good insight. I also don't want us to think about this in the same way as the YouTuber Academy community. YouTuber Academy community is very technical, how do I do X? Whereas this is gonna be more emotional. I want to do X, I'm struggling with Y. And actually a lot of building a community is encouragement and good vibes. Angus doesn't like the name Clubhouse because of the defunct social. I don't know. I quite like Clubhouse as a word. Angus, doesn't like the phrase productivity enthusiasts. Is this too exclusionary? Not everyone would identify or want to identify as a productivity enthusiast. Perhaps we want to exclude people like that, but I suspect we don't want to be more inclusive. As you can see, like generally the way that we do stuff is one of the things that Amazon does is that they insist on sort of written memos for anytime a new idea is being proposed or a new sort of business venture is happening. Because writing out a memo kind of forces you to confront your thinking about the topic in a clearer way than doing it in slides or just talking through it. In the end, it ended up being called Productivity Lab, but we've got various things. This is what our Notion thing looks like. SOPs, standard operating procedures, partners, affiliates, product roadmap, surveys, feedback, marketing assets, ideas. Like this is interesting, might be potentially interesting to look at. And now we've got like a whole thing for like this productivity summit challenge that we're doing and stuff. But anyway, for this video, I'm going to stay focused on how we built Productivity Lab and like the kind of lessons and learnings along the way. Okay, so at this point, it's like October 2023. We have the idea that we want to do this productivity club kind of community. That is all the idea is. We've done a little bit of market research. We've seen what the competitors are. I don't like to think of people as competitors. Like Nest Labs was on our competitor list, and Laura is a good friend of mine. I don't think of her as a competitor, but competitor analysis, it's worth seeing what other people in the market are doing. Even though I'm mates with like half of them, it's still worth seeing like what's in the market, what sort of price points, what are they offering, so that we know that like, hey, this is, we have a sense of what the market is for the thing that we're offering. So then it was like, all right, cool. What we know we want to make some sort of productivity club community type thing, but like, what actually is it? Like, what is the product? And this is where this Fig Jam board came along. Figma are unfortunately not sponsoring this video. They should. Figma, if you're watching this, reach out, please. We use FigJam boards for absolutely everything. I'll show you just, this is what our Figma looks like. Instagram, website, thumbnails, YouTuber Academy, Not Overthinking My Podcast, Part-Time Labs, Berg, Business, Marketing, YouTube channel, Deep Dive, Rebrand, Courses, Design Assets, Software, Level Up, Content, Productivity Lab, etc. Basically for anything that we're trying to do in the business, if we need to sketch out stuff and do designs or do like brainstorming or wireframes, whatever, it's all 100% done in Figma, and they're not sponsoring this video at all. We pay a lot of money each month to Figma. But what's in the club from 10 months ago? This is the question. And so the place where we wanted to start was the dream outcome. Like what would people want? And the way that I often think about this stuff is like, what is the language we would use on the sales page of the product? And so this was the first thing we came up with. Productivity Club helps you double your productivity in your work and your life while enjoying the journey along the way. It's like, okay, seems reasonable. Productivity Club helps you make meaningful progress towards your most important goals with a community of like-minded high achievers to help you be more productive, achieve your goals, do more what matters to you, etc., etc. Dream outcome is double your productivity, maybe, like, not really sure. Is that the right thing? It's like, what is productivity? Well, productivity is using your time in a way that's intentional, effective, and enjoyable. And you can see we're just sort of chucking ideas onto this Figma board here. And if we zoom out a bit, you can see that there's all these kind of post-it notes lying around. And there's this big question of like, what are we actually doing? This is like the fundamental question of like, what the hell even is this product? One of the things that I learned throughout the book writing process as well for Feel Good Productivity is that at every stage of the journey, you need to keep on asking yourself the question of like, what actually is this about? Like, what is this book about? What is this book about? What is this book about? What is this product? What is it about? Is it a community? Is it a membership? Is it what is it? If you are an entrepreneur watching this and you've tried to design products, you might have had this experience. Like, what the frick are we actually creating? This is the thing that we keep on having to go back to. What are we actually doing? what are we actually doing here? Like, what is the point? And actually, one of the things I wish we had done more of is look at this post-it note more. Like, what are we actually doing? Because I think some of the mistakes that we made along the way of creating Productivity Lab was in losing the focus and losing the sense of what even is this thing. I'll come to that later on in the video. Now, the dream outcome here was double your productivity. This was a bad idea. I don't like double your productivity. The reason I don't like double your productivity, and pretty much everyone on the team was saying this, especially Angus, my general manager, is that it's just a bit vague. Like, what does double your productivity even mean? It kind of means, like, for me, I have a vague mental sense of like, what would it mean if I doubled my productivity? Do I want to double my productivity? Sure, yeah, I'll take that. But for like a working professional, what does it mean to double your productivity? For an entrepreneur, what does it mean to double your productivity? For a creator, what does it mean to, like, is it doubling your output of video production? Is it like doing twice as much in the same amount of time? Is it doing sort of taking half as much time to do the same amount? Like, what does it mean to double your productivity? It's a bit abstract. You can't hold it. You can't put your finger on what does double your productivity mean. My approach to this at the time was sort of like, well, I mean, unless we can come up with a better idea, let's just stick with double your productivity. And at the time, we couldn't come up with a better framing of the thing. And so we went down the double your productivity angle. But I think in hindsight, the mental model, the thing we should think about when designing new products is, what is the tangible outcome? Like, what is the thing that people actually want? Here it is. So this might be interesting. When it comes to building a product, there's this thing of the destination. So you've got the start, you've got the destination, and you have the vehicle, right? So this is your starting point, this is your destination, and this is the vehicle that gets you to the destination. Now, if you think about a beach holiday, the beach is the destination, and the vehicle that gets you there is the airplane. Now, if you were designing an offer to encourage people to buy your airplane ticket, would you sell the airplane ticket or would you try and sell the beach? When you go on these package holidays, are they talking about, oh my goodness, the flight to Tenerife is going to be really good because like you'll be able to get a food on the plane and stuff? No, of course not. They're not talking about the flight. They're talking about the destination. They're trying to sell the beach rather than sell the vehicle that gets you there. The problem with double your productivity is that is actually a vehicle. 2x, sort of double your productivity. Unfortunately, that is a vehicle. Like, no one actually wants to double their productivity specifically. They are thinking of double your productivity. Sorry, there's some hoovering happening in the background if you can hear the background noise, but whatevs. They're thinking of double your productivity as a vehicle that gets them to the actual destination that they want, which is, I don't know. Maybe it's achieving their goals. Maybe it's having a fulfilled life. Maybe it's being happier. Maybe it's making more money, growing the business. Yeah, those are the things that people want. And double your productivity is a vehicle to get you there. By positioning the product through virtue of selling the vehicle, we actually, I think made a mistake there. So I should have listened to the team and not used double your productivity as like the angle. Sell the destination, not the vehicle. I think ultimately we landed on achieve your goals as like the thing. That's the thing that people want to achieve their goals, and Productivity Lab is sort of one of the vehicles that helps them get there. So then we were like, all right, cool. So how, like, what's actually in the club? You can see that what's in the club, question mark. That's like the title of this FigJam board, where we were like, all right, so we know that we kind of had the sense of like people want to achieve their goals. So how do we help them do that? Well, one mental model that we came up with is that really achieving your goals and being more productive, or rather being more productive and achieving your goals, is really only 20% about the knowledge, but 80% it's about the execution. It's about actually doing the thing. We did a bunch of surveys for the audience, and it seemed like the thing that people were struggling with was doing the thing. Not like learning about doing the thing, but just doing the thing. All of my YouTube videos, my book, it's all giving you knowledge. It's about like teaching people how to do the thing, but then no one takes action. We found this with our YouTuber Academy. We have thousands of students, like 20,000 plus students who have taken our YouTuber Foundations and YouTuber Academy course. I would say over 50% have not taken a single iota of action having bought the course. And it's kind of sad, right? Like even when we were running live cohorts, we would get like, I don't know, a few hundred to over 1,000 students signed up for a live cohort. They've paid $2,000 to join this live cohort course for 6 weeks, where we take them through and we give them homework assignments and everything. And only 50% of people submitted the first assignment. So half of the people did not even do the work for week 1. And by the time you got to the week 6 homework assignment, the numbers were down to 15%, 1-5. So like, no one signs up to a course like this not intending to do the action, not intending to execute. But 85% of people are not even finishing the thing. 50% of people are not even taking action on day one. Maybe there's a problem you're having in your life where you've maybe got enough knowledge, you've consumed the content, you've watched the stuff, but you struggle to take the action. So that was what we realized, that people really struggle to take action, people struggle with execution. And so we're like, okay, cool. Maybe Productivity Club, or Lab as it came to be known, is trying to solve this problem of execution. And we're like, all right, cool, nice, that's good. That is a very specific pain point we're trying to solve. So how do we do that? Well, we came up with a bunch of different things. I figured out in my own life, like what are the things that help me execute on stuff. We had this sort of whole goal plan system, like this GPS system, which is now featuring as part of the course, which is not part of the lab, etc., etc. We kind of came with this idea that the true secret to productivity is accountability, execution, implementation, actually doing the thing, not consuming content about doing the thing. You'll have heard about the techniques we do here. This isn't about the theory, it's about helping you actually do the stuff, helping you execute on what you know you should be doing. The landing page needs to sell the idea that the reason people are struggling with productivity is not because they don't have the tools or hacks, it's because they don't have the implementation habit. Productivity Club will solve this, fingers crossed. Knowledge is no longer power, it's about the application of knowledge. That's what true power lies. We're just throwing out phrases and stuff. I think either that came from me or someone in the team, I can't remember. And so here we're like, all right, cool. We know that now Productivity Club is solving this problem of helping people execute, but how do we actually do that? And that was where we kind of came up with the idea of like, okay, well, in theory, if we could get people to make a plan, i.e. figure out what their goals actually are, through maybe like a life vision workshop, a goal setting workshop using the GPS framework. If maybe we could do a one-on-one onboarding where a coach, we were like, okay, cool, let's hire a bunch of productivity coaches, which we have ended up doing. We've hired a bunch of productivity coaches who are all very nice and very good. What if we get them to do a one-on-one onboarding every time a student signs up to Productivity Lab, and we can help them set the goals and stuff. Okay, that's a good start. Like, step one is to set the goal. Nice, that's good. The way that I think about this stuff often is like, what is the 3-step process? It's like this thing over here. We're still, yeah. So we've got the start point where they're struggling to take action. We've got the destination where they're taking action, or in our case, doubling your productivity, but that was just a bad way of framing this. And so the question I think about is, what are the 3 or 4 steps along the bridge that will get them there? Like, how do we turn this into a 3 or 4 step framework that actually helps people take action? And so step 1 is set the goal. We were like, all right, cool. That's easy enough. Obviously it makes sense. We did a bunch of surveys to the audience. Like, I had a sense based on comments on my YouTube channel, people really struggle to know what they actually want. Like, it's a real thing. It's like, maybe if you're, I don't know, in your late 20s or early 30s, and you've been in a job for a while, and you're like, this job that I'm doing is not actually the thing that I wanted to be doing, and I'm not really sure, and it's like, I feel like I could be going in all these different directions. Should I become an entrepreneur? Should I be a YouTuber? Should I be an influencer? Should I change career? Should I go to med school? Should I sign up to an MBA? Like, this is the sort of stuff that like pretty much everyone my age is struggling with. And you're like, okay, setting goals is like a key thing. The second thing is take action on said goals. And so we're like, all right, cool. Well, number 1, set goals. Then how do we help people to take action? And this was where the idea of sort of Zoom co-working sessions came about. Back in the day when I was in med school, I got a lot of action done by getting together with a bunch of friends, all in the Emmanuel College Cambridge Library. I would get loads more work done than if I was just working on my own. Similarly, during the pandemic, I joined this thing called London Writers Salon that would host these sort of Zoom co-working sessions, and I got a lot of value out of those. And then I would host my own Zoom co-working sessions for free at like 9 a.m. UK time during the pandemic, and I did that for a month or 2 while writing my book. And people, like hundreds of people joined those, and they got a lot of value from it. And then when I stopped doing them, I was like inundated with messages from people being like, hey, where are those Zoom co-working sessions? Like, we got a lot of value out of those. And so we thought, okay, what if we built this Productivity Club around this idea of Zoom co-working sessions? It's like, okay, that makes sense. So we're like, all right, what if we could have like, a few hours a day, there's like Zoom co-working sessions going on. Maybe I facilitate some of them, maybe a coach facilitates some of them. That would be cool. We're like, all right, interesting. Then we were like, all right, cool. So then you take action, and then there's got to be some sort of reflection thing. One of the big productivity habits that really helps people is doing a weekly review, where you sort of review your week, and then you plan your next week. And so some kind of reflection workshop built into this could be quite interesting. Basically since like from January to April, I was hosting free weekly reflection workshops where a couple of dozen to a few hundred people were joining these, again, free on Zoom. And I was just taking people through a weekly review, a weekly reflection every Sunday. And people were getting loads of value from that. We had loads of comments being like, oh my God, this is the most productive half an hour of my life. This is amazing. And so we thought, okay, cool. What if Productivity Club was about this execution piece? that people struggle with. And what if it was like, okay, step 1, set the goal, step 2, take action, step 3, sort of reflection and celebration, sort of like celebrating how far you've come, and then you sort of repeat the process. But that would be really cool. And we thought maybe like a 4th thing is sort of help people build and refine their productivity system. And this was where we were like, all right, cool, maybe we add a course element to it. Maybe I teach a course on productivity and we attach that to the community. And then I had the bright idea of why don't I do it as a live cohort? We're quite experienced with running live cohorts as we did for our YouTuber Academy. I thought I'd sworn off them, but it'd been like a year since we ran a live cohort. And so I thought, you know what? I generally prefer to teach stuff when there's someone on the other end of the Zoom call, like teaching it live with slides and stuff and diagrams and all this camera switching and all this nonsense. I generally prefer that rather than just trying to pre-record a self-paced course. And with a lot of this, it was like, okay, once we nail like, these are the 3 or 4 pillars of the thing, then it's sort of like, okay, well, what are the features? Now that we know that this is the framework that we're gonna take people through, if we were to help someone set their goals, take action, reflect, and build a system, would they reach the destination of doubling their productivity, achieving their goals, taking action? It's like, yeah, 100%, they absolutely would. If you're watching this right now, if you actually set goals, take action and do them, reflect, refine the process, and build your own productivity system, of course you're gonna achieve whatever goal you set out to. It's just an inevitability, of course it's gonna happen. And that's the kind of conviction that we kind of had of like, okay, we now have a sense of what this product is. This whole process, by the way, took like 2 months. Maybe not 2 months, maybe like 1 month. It was like a lot of back and forth. I kind of wish we had done it sooner than that, because I think one of the mistakes we made with this was we made the mistake of trying to do the consistency approach. There's like 2 approaches when it comes to building a product or anything in life. There's consistency versus intensity. And this is another key learning for next time we make products. Consistency sucks when you're trying to build a new product from scratch. Intensity is the way to go. There is a fantastic book I've been reading recently. It's not here right now. It's called Ready, Fire, Aim by Michael Masterton. It's really, really good. And his whole thesis is that like the thing that takes you from 1 million to 10 million in annual revenue is basically building new products and making them good and doing it very fast. The quicker you can make and release new products, the more likely you are to get to 10 million revenue quickly. Whereas the thing that takes you from 0 to 1 million is having one product, nailing it, and like finding the perfect way to sell it. So from 0 to 1 million, that was our YouTuber Academy that took us from there. Like we're currently at like 5 million a year in revenue, something like that. And so we want to get to 10 million as the next goal, because why not? It's a fun video game. And so the thing we need to do is basically new products. And one of the things he argues in the book is that basically he has a little formula, which is kind of fun, which is G is directly proportional to IV squared. I love this sort of stuff. Well, what he actually says is 0.8 of G, so G is growth. It's a bit of a dodgy formula. I is innovation, and V is velocity, but it's velocity squared. And so he's saying that it's like 80% of your growth between $1 and $10 million a year in revenue directly comes from your innovation, i.e. your ability to create new stuff. That's actually good. Multiplied by your velocity of creating new stuff squared. Like that's how much he believes in this. Like speed matters so much when it comes to creating new products. And one of the things he says, and it's unfortunate that I only read this book chapter like recently, because had I had this in my head like a year ago, this product would have been quite different. It still did okay, but like, you know, there were various ups and downs. Anyway, the faster you make something, the faster you go from idea to execution for a particular product, the better the product tends to be. Because generally when you give things time sucks the energy out of the new product development process. It sucks the energy out of the creative process. And that's why consistency sucks when trying to make a new product. So the way we tried to build this was kind of like, hey, we've got the idea in October, let's like iterate on it a little bit, let's talk about it in November, and then like we'll talk about it in December, and then maybe in January I'll get together with a team, and every week we'll like make a little bit more progress on this thing. And that is a terrible way to build a product. I do not want to do that method of new product development. I wish someone had told me this a year ago. Because it's just so much better to just be like, all right, we have an idea for a product. Within 24 hours, we need to have a sales page whipped up. This is something that Michael Masterson, or whatever his name is, says in the book. A sales page needs to be whipped up, or at least the basics of the sales page written within 24 hours of having the idea. Because the sales page is fundamentally the thing that like condenses the idea into its sellable form. And then basically you want to have almost like daily check-ins to see on the update of this product. This is something Alex Hormozi talks about as well. If you want to move faster, just have daily check-ins rather than weekly check-ins. Weekly check-ins move you 7 times slower than daily check-ins, because daily check-ins means there's always stuff happening and there's always sort of progress and movement on this particular thing. That's something we've now incorporated into our new product development process, daily check-ins. The other thing that I wish we'd done with this is just have 2 whole days, day 1 and day 2, with like a handful of team members, like, I don't know, 3, 4, or 5 of us, or 6 maybe, like more than that starts to get excessive, where we all get together in person ideally, but it can be done over Zoom if it has to. Where like those 2 days are just purely dedicated to fleshing out the product. I think sort of a burst of intensity like that gets so many better ideas onto the table and would have made Productivity Lab happen faster and also better, and also probably more profitably, had we done like an intensity approach of like creating the new thing very, very quickly. And then of course we can iterate on it over time to make it really good, rather than trying to do the slow, consistent process of new product development. I don't like the slow process. Anything good that we've made in the past has been through bursts of intensity rather than a slow, focused consistency grind over time. And this whole like ready, fire, aim analogy is sort of ready is like you sort of make sure that like, you can't really make sure, but you have a reasonable sense that like what you're doing is likely to work. Obviously there are no guarantees, but you have a sense that maybe this is likely to work. Fire is where you just build the thing and get it out there. And then aim is a slow process of iteration and improvement over time. So we sort of did that with Productivity Lab. We got it ready in January and February. We launched it in like April 2024. And now I'm currently filming this in November 2024. And we are now in the process, and have been for the last 6 months, of like iteration and improvement. So we sort of followed this, but I really wish we'd just done it way quicker, because it took too long to come together and it was just too much of an elongated process. So bursts of intensity when it comes to new product development. So we figured out, okay, cool, Productivity Club is going to be this sort of idea of, maybe we'll do some like review and integration, where we do weekly reviews, monthly reviews, quarterly planning workshops, monthly planning workshops, that kind of thing. And I was just sort of building out, sort of reverse engineering my own productivity system and turning it into this sort of community structure. So that's all well and good. Then we had to come up with a name. Now, the name of a product is really, 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 really important. It started off as Productivity Club, but I reached out to a friend of mine, Greg Eisenberg, who is a great guy. Check out his YouTube channel, it's awesome. And we actually recorded a conversation in like January or February 2024. I don't think we ever uploaded that. It's a bit too niche to upload on the main channel, but I will, I might put it on my deep dive channel actually. Yeah, maybe we'll put it on the deep dive channel. That could be kind of interesting. Either way, like either we'll put it as an unlisted video or as a video on the deep dive channel, and we'll link it down below if you're interested in watching this whole like hour-long brainstorm where me and Greg are talking mostly about name ideas. So the place where we started with the name is like, what's the destination or the outcome? And we're like, all right, these are sort of all of the things that people want. Do more of what matters to you while feeling good along the way. Have fun in your work, be richer, make more money, be less stressed, work sustainably, be happier, reach goals faster, blah, blah, blah. And then we did a whole iterative process of like coming up with names. We're like, all right. And Greg's view was that the name is like 90% of the value of a community. And so we're like, all right. Hobbits, Questmen, Adventure Squad, Nirvana, Ecstasy, Druggies, Good Feelers, Feel Goodies, Productivity Mules, Freedom Chasers, Load Balancers, Effortless, Balances, Feel Gooders, Keyboard Surfers, Web Surfers, Focus Friends, Athletes, Brain Leads, Mind Leads, Intentionals, Intentionistas, The Journey Squad, Mindful, Dumble Doers, Brainiacs, Mind Benders, Nerd Fighters, obviously not our name, but like Fun Employed, Journey Before Destination. We were just sort of throwing out onto this Figma board as many different potential naming ideas that we could potentially think of. Stuff that I focused on, I put in green. I was like, okay, the undisciplined, that's kind of interesting. Wayfinders, kind of interesting. Keyboard warriors, kind of interesting. But you can see here, just like Time Lords, like, okay, that's kind of interesting. Productivity Bros, Productivity Gang, Focus Mates, Worker Bees, Focus Squad, like, we were just trying to come up with like anything around like what this name could be. And eventually, the thing, weirdly, that I was campaigning for was this name. This has sort of become a running joke in the team now, because I was campaigning for the name Productivity Pirates. I still think Productivity Pirates is a cool name, but like pretty much everyone in the team was against it. I was like, oh, it'd be so cool. We can use the pirate emoji, like join the crew, double your productivity. Productivitypirates.com unfortunately was taken, but it's like jointhecrew.net. It's like, oh, it'd be so fun. It'd be so cool to name it Productivity Pirates. If you're at this point in the video, I'd be curious to hear in a comment, like, what do you think of the name Productivity Pirates? And I just started whipping together like, okay, what would the logo look like? I think I got this as an icon from Flat Icon. And I was like, Creators Cove maybe could be the thing. Like Productivity Pirates could have this little like ship icon. It could have this little skull and crossbones. It could have this little pirate icon or this. And I'm just sort of playing around with the designs. Pirate hat, it's kind of cool. The general vibe of the team was like, look, this does not sound professional. It kind of sucks. I was like, oh, we can lean into the pirate thing, and like maybe in 2025 we release the Marauders Mastermind, which is sort of like, yeah, a mastermind group where people get to hang out with me, and like, and maybe our YouTuber Academy community could be called Creators Cove, and we could lean into this pirate terminology. Basically, I was talked out of it by the team, and Productivity Pirates has now become a bit of a joke. I still think it would have been fun. It would have been more fun than Productivity Lab, but whatevs. Anyway, so we put out a tweet being like, hey, we're thinking of building this community. Anyone got any name ideas? And someone came up with the name Productivity Lab. And so we donated $1,000 to a charity of their choice. And we bought the domain name. I think it was about $10,000. We spent a lot of money on domain names. So we bought the domain Productivity Lab and ended up calling it Productivity Lab. Conveniently, we also previously, when we were doing stuff, had hired a designer. It was really good actually, to build, like make these little icons for us that we ended up not really using. And so we had this sort of flask icon. This was, back in the day, a couple of years ago, we were playing around with different icons for our YouTuber Academy and our Creatorpreneur course and our Creator Academy and Camera Confidence. And we had this designer like make us some of these logos, and we had the license for this like Flask logo. So we thought, Productivity Lab, Flask logo, great, let's just reuse the thing that we paid for like 2 years ago, and now we have a reason to use the Flask logo. So that was where the name Productivity Lab came from. I still feel weird about the name Productivity. I think it's a reasonable name. It's not as fun as Productivity Pirates, but what's this? Pirates Jam. What's on this Figma board? Yeah, I was like, we can have the Abdaal Academy, and then within that's pirates, and then you can have different ranks like crewmate and comrade and soldier and pirate, and then like I had this whole like world building around this idea of pirates. Yeah, and then based on this flask icon, like sort of this was sort of the logo we ended up with. I think this was the font. What font was that? I think it might have been Circular. Yeah, Circular, which is the font that Loom and Spotify use, I believe. And so we just sort of mopped up a few different logos, double your productivity, enjoy the journeys, that sort of thing. And it ended up being this purple branding, and it ended up being Productivity Lab. All right, I've been filming for a while. It is now time for lunch, so we'll see you shortly. Alrighty, it is another day. Turns out I actually filmed for ages yesterday, and one thing that I found with filming these sorts of videos over time is that if I give myself permission to film it over 2 days, it means I'm less likely to burn out and the whole thing feels a little bit more sustainable. Also, this video is getting kind of long, but it's kind of chatty, but if you're still here in the video, then I hope you're getting at least some value out of it. Hopefully, I don't think we're gonna try too hard to like retention edit a video like this. It's a behind the scenes type thing. A thing that I'm kind of saying this to the camera. Not sure if we're going to keep this in. Maybe we'll kind of we might as well keep we might as well keep this in. A big part of shooting a video like this one is, for me is, there's always a thing in the back of my mind of, is this actually going to be useful to anyone? Like, does anyone actually give a shit about this sort of stuff? But that sort of the editor critic voice is not a helpful voice to have in one's mind when one is filming a video. Stuff can be cut out in post if we really wanted to. Once a video is made, we don't even have to post it. I mean, we inevitably always do. It's sort of like with the process of writing my book. On the days where I sort of was trying to edit it as I went along, or I was trying to write with the editor in mind or the reader in mind, or thinking like, oh no, this isn't good, this is bad. Really just focusing on getting the stuff out there and doing it in whatever way feels enjoyable and natural and connected or whatever. And then we could always edit things out after the fact. So even, I say stuff like this in the videos some of the time if I just need to give myself a bit of a pep talk. Like even yesterday, there was this whole sort of heaviness to filming a video like this, because in my mind I was like, oh, what's the point? Does anyone actually care? This video is not going to get as many views as a 10 productivity tips video. Our views on the channel are sort of 10% down compared to 2023. All of that kind of stuff just adds a lot of heaviness to the whole process. And often when it comes to making decisions for what to do on the YouTube channel and also for what to do in the business, I will ask myself the question of, what would I do if I didn't care about the money and was purely doing it for the enjoyment and service? Now, in that context, what would I do? Would I make a video like this one? Yeah, of course I would. I love doing behind the scenes stuff. I got incredible value out of people doing behind the scenes stuff, usually in podcasts and books and things, and in real life. And I would like to almost sort of return that favor for the people that care about this sort of stuff. And the people that don't are not going to watch it anyway, and that's okay. Like, I would, if I had 100 million in the bank and never needed to make money again, I would still do a video like this. I'd be like, how I got to the point where I had 100 million in the bank, and I would want to show the whole process and show the behind the scenes. And maybe those videos only get 100 views or 1,000 views or 10,000 views or whatever the thing might be. Maybe they don't go viral. They probably won't, but that's okay. I would still want to do that. And so when it comes to building Productivity Lab, when it comes to building, doing videos on this channel, I think that's something I like to always return to. And actually I'm finding myself feeling that it's helpful for me to tell you this and helpful for me to say this out loud to the camera, because it's easy to forget that. It's easy to think when I'm in kind of YouTube filming mode that I should care about retention. I should sort of try and maximize the amount of value I'm giving per second of content. But for a video like this, who cares? It's fine. Anyway, I don't know how we got onto that, but so far in the journey, we have gone to around January, February 2024, earlier this year when we came up with the idea. And between Productivity Pirates and Productivity Lab, I actually tested it on Instagram. There we go. I said, hey gang, we're finalizing the branding for our upcoming course and community. What's a better name? Productivity Pirates, Productivity Lab, neither. If you have a better idea, please see the next slide. And on the next slide, I said, this is going to be a community of ambitious entrepreneurs, creators, and professionals to help double your productivity, focus, and consistency so you can do more of what matters to you while enjoying the journey along the way. Bit of a mouthful. I kind of wish we'd had, as I said before, double your productivity. It's like, I wish we had a more succinct, what actually is this kind of thing? What should this community be named? And various people gave various suggestions, dopamine hut, climbers, productivity dream catchers, the prod hub, pro hub, productivity hub, productivity society, the get along productivity, the masterminds, the go-getters, the keen beaners, and all this sort of stuff. But much to my dismay, the audience said clearly 18% of people, thank you if you clicked on that now one, liked Productivity Pirates. 60% of people liked Productivity Lab, 22% said neither. And so it was like, okay, it kind of has to be Productivity Lab at this point. So at this point, we know exactly what the name is. We've got the logo. We started building a waitlist. This was in 18th of March. For the last couple of months, my team and I have been working on building a productivity community. It's finally here. Join the waitlist. So once we set up a waitlist page, we started getting people to join the email list. They didn't know what the price point was going to be. We knew we wanted to do it $1,000 per year or something like that. We were thinking of doing monthly pricing or quarterly pricing, but we thought initially the problem with a community thing like this, or a sort of any kind of membership, is that you're always dealing with churn. And at the start, we wanted to collect the money up front and get that commitment for a whole year from people, because we didn't want to deal with if we have a big onboarding experience, some people come in, they check it out for a month and they unsubscribe. And now it's like we've sort of wasted the effort that was put into that person because they're only with us for a month. Was it a good idea making this $1,000 a year? If I had my time differently, would I do it monthly pricing? Quite possibly. I quite possibly would have done this with monthly pricing rather than annual. Annual is good because you don't have to worry about churn so much. But the problem with annual is that, and I'm going to talk about the refund requests that we've got, because we've got a lot of refund requests, and that's an interesting part of this process that I want to talk about. Annual is fine because you don't have to deal with churn and you get the money up front. It's great, and people get the commitment for a year. The problem with annual is that unless someone asks for a refund, you don't really get a sense of, are people using the thing? I've subscribed to a bunch of annual programs. I've logged in once or twice, and then I've never logged in again. But I'm not the sort of person that would just email and be like, hey, I want a refund for the thing. I just probably wouldn't do that. I'd probably be like, it's my fault. I've got this. I'll log in at some point. It's useful to have. But then you end up in a situation where you have a large amount of paying users who paid the $1,000. Some percentage of those are going to request a refund if they find themselves not using it. So generally people who are more broke, more price sensitive, People for whom $1,000 is a lot of money would be like, shit, I better get value out of this, and if I don't, then I'm going to request a refund, which is totally fine. That's the whole point of our refund policy. More on that in a little bit. But there's this whole other swath of people like me, who wouldn't request the refund but wouldn't use the product. And with this whole ready, fire, aim approach of launching this thing, ready is sort of like do all the prep work, fire, get it out there, and then aim, over time, iterate the product to make it world class. Someone canceling their monthly subscription, like I would cancel a monthly subscription if I wasn't getting value out of the thing or if I wasn't using the thing. I just wouldn't bother requesting a refund for the annual. So in a way, monthly pricing would have kept us and me and my team more honest. In that, it would have given us a more honest sense of, do people actually get value from this? Because people are only going to pay monthly for something that they're genuinely getting value from. And the aim for this product for this year, for 2024, the goal was actually not to make money. Yeah, we did like, I don't know, $800,000 or like whatever the number is. Yeah, we did that in revenue, but the goal was not revenue. The goal was to iterate the product to a point where we were really happy with it and where users were getting a lot of value from it. And I think actually by doing annual pricing upfront and only offering annual as a membership option, we missed an opportunity to really put our money where our mouth was. And we missed an opportunity to just see what would happen when we allowed people to build monthly. Because we would have had way better analytics, way better tracking. We would have seen every single month, holy shit, like how many people have canceled their subscription? We could have actively reached out to those people, be like, hey, we'd love to hop on a call with you to understand why you canceled your subscription. It's really interesting to us. And I think probably, most likely, we could have improved the product quicker by allowing people to cancel their membership. I'm still not sure about this. I spoke to so many people about this. I spoke to a lot of people who run communities. A lot of people were like, don't do monthly because monthly is going to result in churn. Almost everyone I know who has some sort of paid membership, customers only stay for about 3 or 4 months. And so at that point, if you're selling a $100 a month thing, you may as well just sell them a $300 course because that's 3 months worth of a membership. And then you don't have to deal with, like, memberships are off, like, recurring revenue requires recurring work. There's a lot of, as we're going to talk about with our productivity coaches, there's a large amount of work that it takes to fulfill on a membership where you're trying to constantly add value every single day, every single week, every single month. It's a lot of work, a lot of manpower required for that. So you may as well just make a course and sell it for $300. And then, had we made this into a course and sold it for $300, which we actually are going to do at some point in January, had we done that, we would have made as much money in a way easier way with just a different vehicle. Like a self-paced course is obviously a different vehicle from a sort of $97 a month membership product. Anyway, all that said, that was sort of how we decided around the pricing for this. We thought about, do we want to do lower ticket? Do we want to do $5 a month, $10 a month, $19 a month, $29, $39, $49? We sort of ran the whole gamut. And this was sort of a gut feeling, like, again, and also me having spoken to a bunch of people who run lower ticket community type things, like cheaper memberships. I would rather have fewer people paying more money than more people paying less money. To get to $1 million a year, we only need 1,000 people to be joining every year for this to be $1 million a year product. If it was $50 a month, we would need 2,000 people. If it was $30 a month, we would need 3,000 people. If it was $10 a month, we would need 10,000 people. And the complexity of a community or a membership scales with the number of people that you've got. You get more customer service requirements, you have to do more events, you have to split up your events into smaller people because like it loses the intimacy of the community if there's like 10,000 people in it. You've got to design it in a way for that scales to 10,000 members. And I just didn't really want to do that. I wanted to be more premium, $100 a month, $97 a month, whatever. And I knew that for the right person, it's a total no-brainer. It is not for everyone. Like one of the mistakes people make when trying to build products is like thinking that this is a product for everyone. What if students can't afford $97 a month? It's like, yes, students cannot afford $97 a month. This is not a product for students. It's a product for working professionals and entrepreneurs. And that's fine. We do stuff for students. We have free content on the YouTube channel. This product does not have to be accessible to students. And it's like, well, aren't you cutting out a big proportion of your audience because a big proportion of your audience are students? Yes. Absolutely. Similarly, students can't afford my $1,000 YouTuber Academy course. Students can afford my book, but it's like not every product needs to be for everyone. Apple has like the budget version of the iPhone, the budget version of the Apple Watch, and they have the Mac Pro, which is for $30,000, and it just appeals to different people. In general, I am a fan of charging more money for fewer people because then generally you get a quote. People say this in the entrepreneurship world, you get a higher quality customer if they're paying you more money. And there's sort of memes about this in the sort of business community. Things like, hey, if you charge someone $500 for a project, they're going to be like, hey, can I get a refund of like $50 because like actually, you were a bit late with delivering the thing, and they're really quibbling over the pennies. If you charge $50,000 for a project, you send them the invoice, they'll say, thanks, invoice paid. And that's it, they'll just pay the 50 grand. And again, this is like a weird thing that unless you've been in that position where you're just dropping 50K on an invoice or whatever, it's so hard to appreciate that this is how certain customers think. But essentially, the more of someone's net worth, or the more of their income, the greater percentage of their income or net worth they're spending on a thing, the more like attached they're going to be to the thing, the more they're going to have customer service complaints and requirements and want you to hold their hand and be sending loads of emails and stuff. And you can generally avoid a lot of that stuff by not selling low ticket products, by selling high ticket products. If you cut out broke people, if you cut out students from being able to afford the thing, it's pros and cons of that, you make it easier to fulfill on the product. At some point, once the product is live, we want to offer scholarships. We've been offering scholarships for years for our YouTuber Academy, but especially while the product is getting its feet, we did not want to deal with people who actually couldn't afford it, which is why we didn't want to go low ticket and high volume. We could have done, but we didn't want to go down that route. Maybe we will at some point and actually do a proper low ticket community, but for now, we were like, all right, this is going to be a $97 a month thing. Okay, so what actually is the product? Well, after a bunch of back and forth, we realized, okay, we want it to be this community, which is sort of going to be hosted on Circle, as we talked about earlier. We're going to have daily Zoom co-working sessions. And so we hired some productivity coaches, more on those later, to run these daily Zoom co-working sessions. We would have weekly reflection workshops on Fridays and Sundays for multiple time zones, depending on where people are. We would have monthly planning sessions. We would have quarterly planning sessions. And that would be kind of the main thing. The main thing is you show up to these Zoom co-working sessions to take action and get your work done. And you show up to the reflection workshops to reflect on your week and do a weekly review. And each month we were going to have like an expert workshop doing a talk about something or other. We were thinking maybe we'd have a monthly book club, and that's it. That's the idea. For someone who doesn't want to attend Zoom co-working sessions, this is not the product for them, because that's literally the whole point. The whole point is that it is a membership for people who struggle to take action on their goals, and maybe people who work from home, work remotely. It can be a little bit demotivating when it's just you in your little office, all on your own, doing stuff. Being on these Zoom co-working sessions, in theory, would allow people to do it with a community of people around them and would actually help them take action. And since then, we've actually had a bunch of really successful members of Productivity Lab achieve certain goals by joining the Zoom co-working sessions. We called them the Focus Lab. So for example, we had a guy who'd been procrastinating for 5 years on building his software side project. And then he attended Focus Lab sessions for a couple of weeks, and he built his minimum viable product, his MVP. That was really, really cool. Oh man, I wish I had screenshots of how this has evolved over time, because right now, this is what it looks like. So this is our kind of Circle community. Essentially, people get access, there's the Start Here page. It's a little video from me showing what Productivity Lab is and how it works and stuff. We've refilmed this a bunch of times. As you can see, this is V3 welcome video. We haven't even changed the title of this. We should probably change the title of that. Then there's this whole onboarding thing where you set up your profile, you schedule your onboarding call. We are now offering one-on-one onboarding calls with our productivity coaches. You complete your productivity catalyst, which is this quiz thing at the start that gives you a sort of productivity score across the 5 different key skills. And then you can figure out what areas of the course or membership are going to be best for you. You RSVP to your first event. There's a tour that I think Kaylin or Gio did about all of the different spaces and what the point of each of the different Circle spaces is. There's quite an elaborate community. We have an announcements thing. We're working on a redesign for the graphics. I'm not a huge fan of these graphics, but we're working on it. Actually, I'll show you what it looks like. Can I show you what it looks like? So these are the latest designs. I'm sure by the time this video comes out, when it gets edited, these will have changed, but that's okay. I'm showing you kind of how the sausage is being made. So we've got this is what my website is going to look like. And this is something that will launch, I think, next month. Whenever you're watching this, maybe it's launched already, so you can check it out, aliabdaal.com. And it's sort of this kind of thing. How can I help you be more productive, grow a YouTube channel, build a business, boost your grades, a little bit about me, popular videos, podcast, all of this sort of stuff. And we kind of went through multiple rounds of kind of changes and mock-ups with the web design agency. It's been really cool working with them, actually. And then we said to them, hey, look, can we use the same style of branding, but do it for the Ali Abdaal Academy? And so this is kind of what the sort of design of the Circle workspaces is going to look like. Yeah, it's going to be like this. So you can compare it to this. This is a bit jank, and it's going to look more like this, where each of the product is going to have its own color scheme. So Ali Abdaal Academy, which is going to be sort of the free section, is going to be blue. Then we'll have Part-Time YouTuber Academy, which is our flagship course and community for YouTubers. That's going to be red. And then Productivity Lab is going to be purple. And I'm looking forward to seeing what designs they come up with and a logo for Productivity Lab. Maybe it'll change from this, maybe not, but we're doing like a whole refresh for this. And then there's a Gio, our community manager, and she sort of posts updates about like what's going on in the Productivity Lab community and membership, like what are all the changes. And this is a little video that I put out last month from one of our team retreats. And there's a ton of stuff going on here. It didn't start out this way, but we've been iterating on this over the last 6-7 months. I'm not going to show you the introductions because then you'll see people's actual data, and this is only for members. Introductions, there's a chat, there's this area where people can set their goals and celebrate their wins. There's Focus Lab. These are the sort of Zoom co-working sessions, and you can see there's all these events that you can RSVP to. You can add them to your calendar. You can see them on a calendar view if I go on events. So you can see that like literally every day there's like multiple events happening. Like there are 6 events happening today, and I can RSVP to any of these if I want to join one of the Focus Lab sessions. Some of these are led by our productivity coaches. Some of these are led by our members, who we call alchemists. And so this is what the product actually looks like. Maybe at some point in the future, if this is useful, leave a comment down below. I'll do like a whole like how we actually built the insides of it. But I mean, I don't want to focus too much on that because it's like, I mean, Circle, the platform, does all the work. Circle.so. The all-in-one community platform for ... I think it's loading. For creators, for entrepreneurs, etc., etc. And so you can see like, I personally prefer Circle to School. Sorry, Sam, I'm sure you're not watching this, but yeah, Circle is really cool. It's good design, good vibes. And we've been using Circle since day one, 4 years ago with our YouTuber Academy as well. So we've been quite used to the platform. I'll put, maybe, have we got an affiliate link? I don't know, maybe I'll put an affiliate link down below if you want to check out Circle. But yeah, so this is what Productivity Lab actually looks like. It is a Circle workspace with events and with community engagement and with a course that we call the Life Productivity System that's baked into it. Let's now talk about how the course came together, because I think this is interesting. We realized that we didn't just want to do a community. We actually wanted to do a course like a structured curriculum that helps people be more productive and actually achieve their goals. We wanted to do it alongside. This was a good idea, but it was a hell of a lot of work. So I'm just gonna show you, like, we took a lot of pictures as this was happening. This is a co-working session with my friend Sahel and my friend Sam that I was in London in February of 2024. It was a random weekend, and I just messaged these guys because I used to work with them, where we all went to university together, and we would get together in like my college library to study for our exams. And both of them are building their own businesses. Sahel is building an app called Firecut, which is like a Premiere Pro editing plugin that makes editing faster. And Sam is working on his Stoic Teacher Instagram account, and he has like this Stoic weight loss program. So they're building their businesses. So I reached out to them, we're like, hey, should we just all get together in a WeWork in London, in Paddington on a Saturday and just grind on our work all day? And they were like, yeah. And it was actually really fun. Like this is a little bit of the philosophy behind Productivity Lab, that like, when you get together with other people who are also working on similar-ish stuff, even if it's different stuff, it just makes you more productive and it makes it way more fun. Then, this is my friend Charlotte, who we worked with, and one of her colleagues, Katie. Katie is a learning designer. Charlotte is, I'm not sure what Charlotte is. Charlotte is an entrepreneur and also learning designer and like coach. And so we're working with Charlotte and Katie to put together the curriculum for the course. Now, what did that involve? It involved lots and lots of brainstorming and putting ideas onto, you know, this sort of thing. Post-it notes absolutely everywhere. This was, you know, April 2024. This was over about a 3-week period where we got together like twice a week for full days, just really trying to figure out what's my own philosophy for productivity. We were taking the stuff from the book and combining it with productivity systems and trying to figure out like, how do we teach? You know, I've got my own productivity system that I've been using for years, and I always sort of tweak it over time, but how do we simplify it? And how do we turn it into a thing that we can actually teach? Because even though I've been using my own productivity system for years, I haven't really tried to teach it, and it's sort of like a bit of an amalgamation, a bit of a Frankenstein's creation of stuff evolving over time. And I wanted to streamline and simplify the whole thing and really think, how do we teach productivity from first principles? How do we incorporate the stuff that we talked about in the book with like the feel-good, enjoyable, sustainable vibes, but turn it into an actual system? And basically throughout this process, we generated like dozens of pages of this sort of Post-it note, A3, A1 paper, Sharpies, markers everywhere. We also had a massive Miro board. Aha, here we go. This is a Miro board that we were working on from like the start of April up until the end of April when we sort of finished creating all the stuff. We're trying to figure out, okay, what's like the system, life vision, annual goals, quarterly quest, weeks, joyful days, hours, and all the different methods we're talking about. We had all of our different kind of post-it notes. This was, here we go, questions to clarify. This is a good thing. I'm sure Charlotte won't mind if I share these. I'll put links to her stuff down below if you want to check her out. What are the learner's wins along their journey? What are the levels of progress? Like, what are the minimum things that a learner needs to have done to develop a habit in the end of their measurable performance outcomes, rituals and connections, behaviors, skills? What do you need to practice? So it's like all of these different questions were all about like, how do we create an amazing learning experience for the students that are going through the course? So then we had post-it notes and diagrams and like the whole shebang, and then really trying to figure out like, how do we slice and dice these, and is it a 4-week program, is it a 6-week program, is it a 2-week program, is it a self-paced program? Again, just showing you a sense of the amount of different ways. Feel free to pause this at any point and just have a look if you really care about this stuff. All of the different ways to execute this. Initially we were sort of, you know, I have this whole like GPS system, which we kind of included in the course, but kind of didn't, because it ended up sort of complicating a few things. But, you know, we were thinking like, okay, is it about navigation and execution? Is it about vision and action? What are the pillars within that? Like, what are the techniques that we're teaching within that? Is the way that we're teaching those techniques, does it actually make sense? What are the sorts of visuals? Like, how would we kind of visualize this whole thing? You know, one of the key insights of working with Charlotte is that we kind of need visual mental models to help students understand and like get a sense of what the material is in their heads, so that it's not just sort of walls of text and walls of slides. So this was one iteration of this process of, you know, productivity is about, you know, you got your foundation, your mindset, your rituals, and then it's like, how do you make it focused intentional hours? Those ladder up to joyful days, those ladder up to weeks, ideal weeks or weekly actions. Then you have your quarterly quests, your annual goals, and your North Star life compass. That was one way of doing it. This was another way of doing it, like, you know, goal plan system. Is it about this GPS method? Can we weave in some of the stuff from the book into this? And at some point throughout this whole thing, we were like, okay, maybe it's, does this GPS thing work? Is that like, is it clear enough for it to be useful, but simple enough for it to be memorable? And all of this stuff just was constant iteration over time, through multiple meetings and multiple like real life sessions and multiple Zoom calls over a period of like 3 or 4 weeks, where this was like pretty much the only thing I was focused on in that time. This was something that we were doing at one point. I think we ended up not quite using this as the structure of the course, but we were talking about, okay, foundation, navigation, and execution. Within foundation, you've got sleep, stress, diet, and exercise. Within navigation, you've got your North Star and your GPS, that works. Within execution, you've got focus, energize, unblock, sustain, which brings in the stuff from the book. That's cool. But then this was also getting like really complicated, and there was like a lot of stuff. We were using this diagram, I think this is from Dan Coe, and we were like, okay, you know, this is cool. Like, you know, this idea of things sort of laddering up. So what would our version of this be? Okay, we came across this. I think this is from Tiago Forte. We're like, okay, you know, a lot of people are using this sort of pyramid diagram. Can we make our own version of this? I wrote a few bits and bobs for this, like your productivity score is a combination of the 4 pillars of productivity: foundation, navigation, execution, reflection. And I'm showing you all of this just to give you a sense of the amount of like stuff that goes into brainstorming something like this. You've seen all of these like little drawings that we're doing. All of this stuff, we're like, eventually we landed on a boat analogy, which is I think the thing that we stuck with, the waters of life, the system. Should we visualize like your goal setting as a sail, or should we visualize your goal setting as a compass? It's quite cool looking at this stuff, because I think the course that we've now created is actually really good. And we're now on like version 4 of the course, because we keep on like putting it out to the students, getting feedback, putting it out, getting feedback, simplifying. Even like all of this stuff, the main feedback we've had is like, damn, it's still too complicated. Okay, so how do we even further simplify things? And then eventually, like once we sort of landed on the sort of sketch structure of the course, me and Saf, one of my team members, we then worked on like the initial visuals for this. And so we created those in Figma. Again, just zooming out, you can see that there's a lot of stuff going on here. And we were this was the kind of vibe we were going for. We were like, okay, you know, these are the 5 key skills, and we've got the logo, and like, you know, this is kind of cool. Align, focus, reflect, organize, and recharge. Do we want to add these little doodles to them? Like, how do we want to make this work? Saf created these sort of graphics for our feel good productivity stuff, and so we sort of reused some of these. And then we were like, all right, cool. So I'm just giving away the course here, but that's okay. You know, this is some of the material, and this is what it takes to have a focused hour. Align, organize, focus, recharge, reflect. and we were sort of playing around with the positioning of these like little doodles and stuff. Because the thing we were trying to do for the visuals here was combining analog and digital. That's something I really like doing. I like combining analog and digital. That's why we've got an overhead camera recording this. So it's like analog notebook, digital stuff, digital. I really like the interplay of analog and digital. So this was part of the sort of visual identity. This is sort of one of the iterations of the slides for our weekly reflection workshops. 10 minutes on align, 10 minutes on reflect, 10 minutes on organized, and then an optional connection bit. We're like, all right, how do we visualize the life productivity system here? This needs to go like that, probably, yeah. It's about the compass, the engine, the skills, and the core. This was also just too complicated, as we found out after delivering version 1, and so we sort of simplified some of this stuff. We're trying to sort of use this boat metaphor of like, is it different parts of a ship as part of your life productivity system? Is it this kind of thing that we're going for? Are the skills like a pentagon or a pentagram or a list of things or like boxes? I used this diagram from, I think this was from Tim Urban, and we were like, okay, can we adapt this kind of diagram and make it sort of this kind of thing? Direction, momentum, skills, and core. Like, how do we teach our productivity system in a way that is simple and easy to visualize? This was another way of doing it. Focused hours, joyful days, balanced weeks, quarterly quest, annual goals, life vision. This was another way of doing it, like foundation, execution, navigation, surrounding system skills. And after a ton of playing around with like dozens of different ways to visualize this, we eventually landed on, where is it? And this is also all changed now that we've gotten feedback to try and even further simplify it. We were like, okay, so your life productivity system is 4 S's: your system, your skills, your self, and your space. Here we go. Within system, you've got life compass, annual goals, and quarterly quests, which works nicely with like these cute little graphics. Then you've got balanced weeks, joyful days, focused hours. Within system, you've got direction and drive. But even now, looking at it like 6 months later, after it's been through so many more changes, and again, I'll do another behind the scenes video about that probably sometime next year once we've got more data for the new version of the course and the system. It's also like a bit complicated. Like, it looks cool. It looks pretty and nice and like looked really great. And we had a lot of feedback from it. But the main piece of feedback we got was, damn, this is still too complicated. For people who are like super into productivity and who've got loads of time to go through the materials and do all the work and stuff, it was great. The system makes sense. But what we found after running the first cohort of this with like 500 people who joined Productivity Lab, we found out that actually a lot of people who joined didn't have much time on their hands. A lot of them were like entrepreneurs, a lot of them were 9-to-5 professionals, a lot of them were parents, a lot of them wanted to do this side hustle thing. And actually like taking a few hours every week to go through the course material and really do the work was just too much. It's too much for most people. And I think I sort of lost sight of that a little bit when I was sort of doing this as a full-time gig for like a whole month, trying to figure out like what's the most simple way to do the course. My version of simple is clearly not most people's version of simple. So we've even further simplified all of this sort of stuff. So that was the process of creating the course. Then we had them all in slides. We had it as a 4-week course, which I delivered for the first time in like May 2024 as a live cohort. I enjoy delivering courses as a live cohort because there's people on Zoom on the other side. This is kind of what my setup looked like back when I was in London. So I still have this monitor actually. I've got this little screen that's just underneath my camera that you can't see. So when I do live sessions for Productivity Lab or for our YouTuber Academy, I can have my slides down here where you can't see them, and I can look at the camera there and the slides are just directly down, so I don't have to look at the screen like in this sort of way. And the way we launched it was through doing this quarterly alignment workshop. So we had, I think, over 10,000 people registered for this, and we wanted this to be a free workshop. And actually this is something we're continuing doing. Basically every quarter, I run a sort of quarterly planning workshop where you reflect on the last 3 months and then you set your quarterly quests for the next 3 months. And then at the end of these workshops are completely free, they're 2 hours long, but at the end of the workshop, I encourage people to join Productivity Lab. So the first time we did this was the first time we launched Productivity Lab. We got about 500 people signed up within like 48 hours, which was awesome. Let me see, do I have screenshots of our, yeah, you know, we had 27 refund requests. Yeah, well, here we had 615 sales, we did $458,000. We got to 50,000 MRR, means monthly recurring revenue. And yeah, we had $8,400 worth of refunds. I think because some people just signed up and then changed their mind last minute. They're like, okay, fair enough, we'll just give them the refund. This was sort of basically as soon as we launched the thing, within a few days. And that was solid. Then we did another round in like June, July for the next quarter, and we got another like 300 or so students Then we did another one, we got another like 200 or so students. And so overall, we've now got about 1,000-ish people in Productivity Lab. And here's where it gets interesting. Some of those people are getting value from it, and we have some solid testimonials and stuff. But some of the people are not getting value from it. And we have actually had quite a lot of refund requests. Let's talk about refund requests, because refund requests are interesting. So when we launched Productivity Lab, I knew that we were launching a product where we weren't entirely sure what the product is yet. This is often the case when you launch a product. You don't entirely know what is the thing that you're launching. You have a sense of what it is, and you know you're going to need to iterate on it over time. And you know that when you launch it, that's like the worst it's ever going to be, because it only gets better from there as you get feedback and as you improve things. Now, the way I get around this, and I used to really struggle with sales 4 years ago before I launched my YouTuber Academy. But the way we get around this is that we just have a really, really, really liberal refund policy. I think the way I phrased it for this, I think we called it our ludicrous money back guarantee. We said to people that, look, you're paying $1,000, you're signing up for the whole year, but at any point, even 11 months later, if you tell us you don't like it, we will refund the money you've paid for the whole year. No one does this. People will give you a pro rata refund to be like, hey, you canceled 6 months in, so we'll give you a refund for the final 6 months. We were like, no, we're not even gonna do that. We're gonna do a ludicrous money back guarantee where we will just give you all of your money back. And I found a cool way of talking about this, which we now refer to as the Help Ali Sleep at Night money back guarantee, where I stole this idea from an Instagram ad from One Peak Creative, who does really good Instagram ads. If anyone from One Peak is watching this, I love your stuff. But they said, I can't remember exactly what they said, but like, I basically paraphrased something that they used in one of their like guarantees, which I thought was really cool, which is the Help Ali Sleep at Night money back guarantee, where I said something like, hey, look, I care a lot what people think about me. I shouldn't have become a YouTuber because I care excessively about what people think about me. If you're a customer of one of our products and you don't like it, I will literally lose sleep over that, and it's not worth it for me. I've got the money already. I don't need the money. I'll take the money, but I don't need the money. And so we have a Help Ali Sleep at Night money back guarantee. If at any point you decide you don't like our product, just email my team and we will literally give you your money back. We'll ask you one question, which is what could we have done to improve the product? And then we'll just give you your money back, because I will lose sleep if you're upset because you don't like our product and we've taken your money. We don't want to take your money, that kind of thing. I sort of really hammed up this idea. Now, what does that do? What that does is that it reduces the risk to basically zero for a new person signing up. What it does, it also helps me and my team feel better about releasing a product, because otherwise we would be quagmired in this overthinking, perfection, analysis, paralysis type situation where we're like, we couldn't possibly release something unless it's really, really good, but it's really hard to make something really, really good unless you've got people actually using it, because then they give you feedback and then you can iterate on it and improve it over time. Again, to quote Michael Masterson or whatever his name is, where is it? Boom, ready, fire, aim. You get ready, which is the thing we were doing from like January, February, March, and April with all of this stuff that I've shown you, the screenshots, the boards, the mirror boards, the Figma boards, the sketching out, all of that stuff is us getting ready. Then we fire, we put the product out there into the world with a ludicrous money back guarantee. And then we aim. Once people are in the product and they're using it and they're giving us feedback and we can see how they're using it, and we're doing onboarding calls and student support calls and we're answering all emails within 24 hours, and me and my team are in there like seeing how people are interacting with it. And with our YouTuber Academy, we host physical meetups, dinners for our accelerator students and free meetups for our Academy students. And I am there, my team is there, and we're always asking people, what do you like about the course? What do you not like about the course? What can we improve about the course? We're sending people feedback surveys and encouraging people. All of that data that we're gathering is how we then aim the product, how we improve it iteratively over time to make it world class. So a ludicrous money back guarantee lowers the risk for the customer. Number two, it helps us feel better about it. But number three, what it does is then we start getting refund requests. So we get some refunds that are like this. At first, I think about having a support system to improve my productivity would help me to do so, but then it turns out I only use it once, and after that I never used it again. Classic. So I think maybe it's just me, it's not fit with the system. This is a, it's not you, it's me kind of thing. This is reasonable. Of course, we give everyone the money back. And here's another one. I think the product does not fit my needs. I tried hard to use it, but with my setup, it's not possible. It's like, we don't get much data out of that. Then we have something like this. Was very disappointed with the onboarding process. Have not gained value from the program at all. Oh, damn, that feels bad. Oh, they didn't even experience the program because they thought the onboarding experience was so crap. Oh, what a nightmare. That's annoying. Let's see, did someone on our team reply to this? Complete. When we saw that, I remember thinking like, oh, okay. We have literally completely revamped our onboarding experience as a result of just this one refund request. So like, it feels bad initially, but you're like, okay, cool. Got to improve the thing. Here's another one. I think Productivity Lab is a great program, just not for me. I was trying to fit into a mold of productivity that doesn't fit my lifestyle and reality. I just have less time right now, and the time I do have varies from day to day, week to week. What did you find valuable? They enjoyed the weekly reviews in the community spaces. Weekly reviews definitely give me a sense of where I am in relation to where I want to go, and the community was really great too. It's just more at my stage of life isn't in line with the system. So like actually more than half of our refund requests are like, hey, the timings don't work out for me. I realized it's not really compatible with my life. But some of them, some of them are like this. Some proportion of refund requests are this kind of thing. The program has a lot to explore. I felt a bit overwhelmed. I sometimes got lost instead of focusing on things. It takes time for me to explore and understand. It might just be me. Also, I'm in Asia. Oh, interesting. When I joined the lab at the beginning, I don't see Ali's engagement very much in the community. I understand he's busy, but most of the members are his fans. Perhaps he may consider for more engagement. That's also feedback we've had from a few people wanting more from me. Okay, so there's 2 points here. Number one, people feeling overwhelmed when they join the product, which is a sign for us that we need to simplify and improve the onboarding experience and make it feel less overwhelming. To my point earlier about how the course, I thought it was simple, but clearly it wasn't simple enough because people are still overwhelmed because I get it, people are busy, they don't have time, they're not. Most people in this, most of our members probably haven't read all of the productivity books in the world. And so like, actually, it is on us to simplify the product even further and to make it feel less overwhelming. Something I spoke to a friend of mine who runs a bunch of membership programs said that overwhelm is the biggest reason why people cancel memberships for things, which is interesting. So we need to, what we're working on, what we have been working on over the last 6 months is making it feel less overwhelming. But secondly, we've had a bunch of people saying they want me to engage more with the community. So one thing I do in it now, increasingly, it's like a monthly Q&A. But what I wanted to do, and the reason why we kind of, a big part of one of the rationales behind this product is that we do not want this to be a you get access to Ali type product. We're going to release a you get access to Ali type product sometime in 2025. That's going to be a mastermind. It's probably going to cost like $30,000 a year. This is 30 times cheaper than that. People are getting value from the thing that we've created rather than people are getting value because they've got access to me. Also, access to me would be way more expensive than what we have for Productivity Lab. But that's a side point. And so for stuff like this, we're like, yes, I get it, but for certain refund requests, we've got to be like, okay, the feedback we're hearing is people want more of Ali in the community. Is that something we are willing to do? Okay, I can do a monthly Q&A or a monthly workshop. I'm totally down for doing that, that's fun. But do I want to be hosting sessions every week? Probably not. I want to be attending the sessions, but I don't want to be hosting them because it's too much effort for me to host the sessions. We've got a team to be able to do that. Do I want to be engaging with the community and saying, well done guys on your wins, etc., etc.? I would like to, but I don't really have the time for that. We've got coaches, productivity coaches who can help with that. One of the difficulties about having a personal brand is like, it's really nice that people want to hang out with me more, but my time is stretched and I need to do the highest leverage things, which is not engaging with people in the community. I love engaging with people in real life. I love doing my Q&As and my workshops and stuff where people can ask questions then, but then I'm sort of like, I'm out and I'm focusing on making videos and creating the next product and writing the next book rather than engaging with people in the community. This is why I get loads of emails. I would love to reply to all the emails, but replying to all the emails I get would be a full-time job. And so for something like this, we've got to say, okay, the person wanted more from Ali. We're not willing to give them more of Ali. So of course, we're going to give them a refund, but let's just make sure that on the sales page for the product, we've framed the expectations clearly. Let's make sure we've got an FAQ of like, how much access will I have to Ali in this program? Answer, basically none. You can show up to a weekly Q&A. Sorry, you can show up to a monthly Q&A and you can potentially ask him a question, but like, this is not an access to Ali type product. Okay, this one's interesting. Whew, this course was not what I thought it would be, nor did it provide me with the results I was looking for. I did complete the modules on the catalyst, but the results in my productivity didn't justify the price, nor does the current method of joining live cohorts work for me. I may return in the future, but once you have an offering that allows more one-on-one support and self-paced learning. Whew. Okay, interesting. Clearly did not get the results that they wanted to. Fair enough. The theory itself is good, but I don't like having to make time to join focus sessions. Yeah, fair. This did not work for my lifestyle. I also think there's a lot of work to be done in the videos. Ali is great, but talks too fast. It doesn't feel like the material applies at times to me as a mum and working professional. I think more teachers should be added in to allow more students to benefit. Okay, interesting. The community spaces are overwhelming and give me anxiety, the same anxiety as being on social media. I don't have the time and feel pressure to join these. I don't necessarily want to connect with others. I just want to improve my productivity. Yeah, so stuff like that. We do get stuff like that from time to time. Most of our refund requests are, it's not you, it's me. Most of them are like, I don't have the time to engage with this. But some of them are, hey, I went through the course and actually there's not much new here. One of the guys, I remember this quite clearly, said, hey, I went through all the materials and I learned absolutely nothing. He also said, in fairness, I'm 56. I have been into productivity for the last 40 years. I have read all the productivity books. I already do my daily focus sessions. I already do a weekly review. I'm already familiar with all the techniques that Ali is talking about. I'm like, fair enough. Of course, have a refund. The course was not for you. I get it. It's understandable. Refunds are one of those interesting things. Like, I've spoken to a bunch of my team members about this as well, and everyone I know who, we take refund requests very personally, or we have a tendency to take refund requests very personally. It's like someone has paid you money and then they have gone through the effort of emailing you to say, I don't think your product is good enough for me, and therefore I want my money back. Oh, that can feel bad at times. I try and reframe my, and initially when we started getting refund requests, I was like losing sleep over every single one. But then I kind of realized that was the whole point. The whole point of offering a ludicrous money back guarantee is to make it super easy for people to get refunds. If someone wants a refund, we'll just give it to them. And we'll ask them a question that helps us improve the product. The product has improved massively over the last 6 months as a result of the fact we've got people going through it, and as a result of the fact that we have some people who have asked for refunds because it's not for them. One of the things that I often say to new entrepreneurs or creators who are trying to build businesses who worry about the selling thing is refunds are your best friend. Just offer an unlimited, no questions asked money back guarantee. Or one question asked, like how can we improve the product? I think that's usually a good question to ask to actually improve the product. Because you actually don't want the money of someone that doesn't think your thing is valuable. You only want the money for people who are getting value out of the thing. And refunds are a perfect way to give people the option to try the thing out, and if they don't like it, they'll just get a refund. Easy enough. But I can't deny that, like, we've had over 100 refund requests at this point. Maybe even like 200. No, probably not 200, maybe like 100 refund requests at this point. And each one, initially, when I see the notification for like a refund request, I'm like, oh no, I know I'm gonna feel bad about this. But it's, part of the spiritual challenge of entrepreneurship, part of the spiritual challenge of building a business is you gotta be okay with that. You gotta feel the emotion, feel the punch to the gut of like, oh, someone didn't like my thing. My thing was shit for them. Okay, okay, I'm gonna feel that. I'm gonna feel the emotion. That's okay. Okay, nice. Let's give them the money back. Of course, it's basically an automated process with the team dealing with the operations and finance side of things. And let's see, what can we improve about the product based on this? We don't want to overcorrect the product based on one person's feedback, but if we're seeing like a handful of people are like, it's too overwhelming. Okay, cool, it's probably too overwhelming. Let's like change something about that. If we're seeing a bunch of people saying, Ali speaks too fast, these are our paying customers. I should probably slow down my rate of speech when I'm teaching a course because it's just a little bit more accessible. If we're seeing a bunch of refund requests because the time zones weren't right for them, we start thinking, okay, cool. Should we add more time zones or should we reframe expectations? Like what's the balance here? Because I guess when it comes to building a product, there's always like two things that you're balancing. You're balancing what is the offer, i.e. what is the expectation in the mind of the audience, and then what are you actually delivering? And ideally, you want those to be perfectly in sync. You want the audience, you want the customer to know what they're getting and to be getting it, and ideally more than what they signed up for. You ideally want to over-deliver on the expectation. But sometimes because of the way we phrase things and because like, oh shit, I didn't realize that the way we said that thing on our sales page, that person who is actually in an Asia Pacific time zone, we didn't exactly specify that was 4 p.m. GMT. They assumed it was 4 p.m. HKT. So they assumed they'd be able to attend that thing, but actually they wouldn't be able to attend that thing. So actually the expectation that we set was wrong. We should just tweak the languaging on the sales page or in the video sales letter or any of that kind of stuff to make sure that the expectation is aligned with reality. Man, even just looking through this thing about refund requests makes me feel bad. I'm like, oh, there's people who signed up for our thing and they're asking for refunds. Oh no, oh no. But I have to remind myself that it's part of the process. Part of releasing any kind of product is to open yourself up to refund requests and to negative reviews, and that's okay, as long as we are doing whatever is in our power to make the product really good, which we are. It's really good now. And we are, giving people the money back if they don't want us to have the money. That's totally okay. Refunds. That's interesting. All right, I think this video has gone on for long enough. There are still a few things that we haven't quite talked about. We haven't talked about like the personnel requirements behind this. That would be a lot to go into. And there's a few other things. I have a segment of my newsletter called Business Class. If you're here, you should probably sign up. There'll be a link down below, where at some point we'll do a behind the scenes look at how specifically we structure the team and the onboarding and like the operations and the finances and the HR side of this business and maybe my business as a whole. If you have gotten to this point in the video, I would love to hear in the comments down below, like what did you get out of this? I'm so curious as to how many people will be at this point in the video, because this is a really freaking long video. what did you get out of this? Because should we do more of this? And I mean, we will do more of this sort of stuff, but I would love to know what was useful, what was less useful, what would you like to see more of, what would you like to see less of? What's interesting about this sort of thing, and in what way is it potentially helping you on your own journey? I would love to know that in the comments down below. If you'd like to leave a comment that, the comment thing is too long on YouTube or it gets cut out or whatever, feel free to DM me on Instagram. My team looks at all the messages and they sort of screenshot and post interesting things into our feedback channels if it's feedback about our stuff or about our videos. So I would love to get a DM on Instagram if you want to, whatever, or email me, ali@aliabdaal.com. Would love to know what you thought of this video. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Have a lovely day and I'll see you hopefully in the next one. Bye-bye.